of back and forth, people calling him out, him getting pissed off. They're saying no sound. Oh, shit. No sound. Mother fricker. All right, hold on. No sound. Oh, damn. I got one 5x5. It's working now. Okay. All right. I didn't touch anything. I don't know what's going on. Some people say they can hear me. Some people say they can't. So again, I'll start over. Welcome to LWN tonight. We got a special night planned for you. It's going to be at least 2 hours. We'll see where we go, but I wanted to give both of my my co-hosts tonight plenty of time to get everything out that they want to talk about, because John Estabrooks has got a lot to cover tonight. I know that Jeff B does too. Tammy produced the show for me this afternoon. She sent me a bunch of emails with a bunch of talking points. So, and I'm going to talk about why Tammy's not with us tonight. It's the guys tonight. But I'll start over. Did Dan Bongino lose his balls? Like, he's spinning out of control. There's a lot of finger pointing, a lot of back and forth. He's blocking people. He's calling black pill now. Is Trump losing support? I got a letter from American citizens that I'm going to read tonight to you guys. I want to get your thoughts on that. Comments as usual. I know that Jeff wants to talk about Don Lemon, however you pronounce his last name. I really don't care. Not a big fan of that guy. And then, of course, John Estabrooks tonight is going to bring the heat with, economic collapse, economic just trouble, and what's in our future. We're watching gold and silver hit record heights. We've talked about that for years and years and years. And for those of you who bought silver when we were selling it through Miles Franklin at $18 an ounce, you've almost 5 times what you guys have bought it for, right? I also bought silver for you guys since we hit our goal. I paid $82 an ounce for that about 2 weeks ago, and it's getting close to $100 an ounce. So even 2 weeks ago, it's jumped up $12 an ounce. So a lot to cover tonight. We've got a new intro that our brother War Machine created for us. So we'll see what happens when I play this. Hopefully there's some sound. Let me know there in the chat, and we will be back right after this. All right. Pretty cool intro that War Machine created for us. Guys, let me know in chat what you think of that new intro. Give War Machine some love. I know that he worked really hard on that. And everything that I asked him to do, he really does such a wonderful job. And we're going to talk about merchandise at the beginning of the show here real quick. We got a lot of stuff to cover tonight. So I want to say hello to both my co-hosts tonight, John Estabrooks and Jeff B. How are you gentlemen doing tonight? And then I want to cover merchandise and a shout out to War Machine, because just a lot of stuff going on tonight. So how are you both doing?
I'm 5x5.
How about you, Jeff B?
Yeah, freezing at -14 degrees.
Well, I'm glad I'm here in Idaho then, because I gave up the cold weather in North Dakota a few years back, and I don't wish that on anybody. So glad that it's warmer here, I guess, Jeff, and I'm glad you're not frozen to death. War Machine has done some amazing stuff for us, and we're getting ready to unleash uh, a whole a whole new line of merchandise, which is the tumblers. And so check it out. Go to the store. We'll have tumblers in the store here just in a few days, I'm hoping. And then we've got 45 states now, Jeff. So we're just missing 5 states. And I know War Machine's working on that. So if you guys have been waiting for your state to get in the store for the animal t-shirts that we've created, check that out. I got We the People on tonight. One of my favorite that War Machine did for us. So a lot of merchandise and an announcement real quick. And I want to talk about Tammy too. So, you guys, we hit our goal for the silver. And again, like I said at the very beginning, we ordered the silver. Tammy should be getting it here, I don't know, sometime this week, first of next week, no later than that. So the silver's ordered. The silver has been shipped. Tammy's going to get it. We'll have it for our giveaway in March. And then we got our new goal, so our Z Grill giveaway at the end of March too, and I'll put that up on screen throughout the show. So all the donations that you guys have been sending us, all the coffees, all the super chats over there in Rumble, all that money has gone toward the silver, it's gone toward the Z Grills, and it's also gone toward paying War Machine for all his artistic stuff that he does for us here at LWN. So Tammy and I haven't kept a dime of any of that money. Everything that you guys have sent us is all gone to pay for all that stuff, and we're happy to give that back. So again, Jeff, we're doing the reverse grifting here, and I love it because it's a lot of fun to make people happy and to get people involved here at the show.
Yeah, yeah. Some of these designs that War Machine is doing, and you got a sneak preview at one of the tumblers. So they're
Badass. It's badass. People are going to want the tumblers. I'm telling you right now, people are going to want the tumblers.
yeah, and we're some people in the front office are working. I'm having them work on the website a form to where if there's something in particular like a certain type of tumbler, shot glass, or any type of material ware that you can put in a request, and we're check with our suppliers and get a template made so we can get that put on whatever merchandise you like.
All right. Absolutely. Okay. So let's talk about our co-host, Tammy, the Hammer Nation tonight, just to let you guys know. Tammy wanted to be here tonight, and I think she's going to join me tomorrow. But she needs all the prayers. Her family needs all the prayers that you guys can send to her right now, please. I've been praying for her and her husband. They were sick. Tammy was sick right at Christmas time. Her kids were all sick, and now her husband is sick. And I just want everybody who's listening tonight, if you can send Tammy and her family as many prayers as you possibly can to help them. It is very important to me. It's very important to her family, and we do miss her. And I know it's usually me, Jeff, and Tammy, and we like to joke and have fun. And I'm sure we'll have some jokes and have fun tonight, but it's just not the same without Tammy. So my prayers go out to her. And it's always good to have John Estabrooks come in with us. And I know we've got some other shows that I've been working on with him and Diamond. And we got to get back to that too. I just got so much going on personally with just a lot of work and all the stuff, putting this together and stuff. It's just really hard to keep up with. I need like 48 hours a day instead of 24. There's just not enough time to get it done. So anyway, that was my update for Tammy. Usually she's the one driving the bus. And I know, John, what you have to share with us tonight, I would like to kind of leave toward the second hour. I'd like to cover some of this other stuff the first hour, but what John has to share with us tonight, I really think it's important, and I really hope that people stay engaged with us tonight and stay tuned because very informational and just I don't know, man. I've said this and I'll keep saying it over and over and over again. It's concerning to me. Some of the stuff that we're seeing, some of the stuff we're not seeing, some of the stuff we're hearing and not hearing. And it's just really, really concerning to me. So the stuff that John wants to share tonight, I think everybody should listen to and should pay attention to. So Jeff, I'm going to let you kind of steer the bus the first hour. I want to talk about Dan Bongino. You wanted to talk about Don Lemon, and I also have a letter written to Donald Trump from American citizens. I don't know who it is, but I found it. Something that just got put out lately. Maybe a lot of you agree with it. Maybe a lot of you disagree with it. Maybe a lot of you feel the same way. Maybe you don't. And I'll get your comments on that and what you guys have to think about the letter written to Donald Trump. But that's kind of the first hour. I'd like to cover that, and then you also wanted to cover Tina Peterson as well, Jeff. So really just wherever you want to take off there.
Well, we'll start out with, yesterday. This is how chaotic this stuff is getting. So, a friend of mine sent me a clip of a TikTok video where this lady had said that she wanted to see Bongino 86, the president 86, all ICE agents 86, and she was going to, I don't know, do something to the water and pass out water bottles. And yeah, I mean, this lady was unhinged. And the funny thing about it is people think that they can get on these social media platforms, say whatever they want because they have a misconception of freedom of speech, and nothing's going to happen to them. So there was two or three people that sent me this clip, and the one guy said, "Hey, is it possible you could send this to the big chair and see what can be done?" And I said, "Well, I can send it to him. I know they're preparing to go to Switzerland." But yeah, so I sent it over to him, and a half hour later, I get a text message back from him, and he was like, "Well, that's done." And I was like, "What do you mean it's done?" He goes, "Go look at all our social media. Nuked. They nuked it.
Really took it
Oh,
all down.
took it all down. So now she's under investigation for, uh, basically terroristic threats. And you can not like people. I mean, there's people I don't like. There's people that if I would never see again, it wouldn't move me one bit. But you can't say stuff like that. I mean, you really have to, especially on social media, because once that joker gets put on there, you can't take it back. It's out there.
There forever.
Yeah. So with Bongino, I think Bongino is going to be just fine. To me, look, that guy's already seen a lot prior to stepping into this job. He just didn't have, even though he was cleared for the material that he had access to, he didn't have a need to know because of the job level. Um, I'm guessing he probably seen, read, and heard of a lot of stuff that even in his mind he thought was conspiratorial. And his health, he's had cancer. Um, those jobs are stressful. I mean, the job that I had was stressful, and I can't imagine that having that type of access, yeah, I mean, it's mind-boggling the amount of information that um, you have to you have to be able to digest, and you have to be able to compartmentalize within yourself. But in that same respect, I believe that this administration or whoever, this was pretty much planned and calculated, because he has a more active base with his platform. You know, and he took a huge pay cut. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah, and I don't disagree. I don't disagree with that at all, Jeff B. And I want to get John Estabrooks to chime in here in just a second. I want to thank Mike Miss 321 over there on Rumble for the super chat. Says love you guys and glad you're back. Praying for Tammy and that 2026 only gets better. Jeff B, do you see Dan Scavino interview on Kate Miller podcast? I've never heard him talk. I've never heard him talk so much. And then I've got James O'Keefe here on X, and I'll go to John Estabrooks for this, but let me put this up on screen real quick, and I wanted to try to cover it real quick. So Tammy sent us this, and this again is James O'Keefe on Dan Bongino, and he says we have a right to know what is that shocks Dan Bongino to his core. Now, I'm gonna stay on my ground on this. I think that Dan Bongino got into some stuff, seen some stuff that shocked him to his core. And I think he left not because he only I saw one of the comments there, I can't remember who put it up there, that Dan only committed to 2025. I will politely disagree with that. I think he was supposed to be there a lot longer than 2025, but I still feel like he got the hell out for, and I agree with Jeff. Maybe there's some health issues. Maybe there's some family issues with the wife and him being gone all the time. But I honestly, and it's just my opinion, I think he left because it was just way, way too much for him. And he's seen some shit, and maybe there were some phone calls made that he didn't like, and he's just like, you know what, I'm out of here. I also saw a comment in there where somebody said he left because of Pam Bondi. And we'll talk about that tonight too. And I believe that's all part of it. I think there's just little bits and pieces that added up for Dan Bongino, and it added up to be too much. And so Dan says here, during my tenure as deputy director of the FBI, I have repeatedly relayed to you that the things are happening that might not be immediately visible, but they are happening. The director and I are committed to stamping out public corruption, and that the political weaponization of both law enforcement and intelligent operations, it is the priority for us. But what I have learned in the course of our propriety and necessary investigations into these matters is shocking to me, to my core. So there it is. It's shocking to his core, and that's what O'Keefe is talking about. What I agree with O'Keefe. What is it that shocked him to his core? And again, I'll go to John Estabrooks on this and what his opinion, what his thought is on Dan Bongino on why he left. Go ahead.
All right. So for me, you got to imagine he saw the open book. He saw everything in the true color of what it means. Acts of treason. If he watched Frazzle Drip in real time, and it became not just some conspiracy theory, but a reality to him, and just how evil those people are. When you look at the child and human trafficking that Epstein was involved in, I'm sure that he got a full eye of all of that. And when you go and think about the people that are actually truly associated with Epstein and wanted to bury everything about Epstein, it's billionaires and millionaires and people that were captured by what I believe is our CIA and Mossad, because it's definitely with Ghislaine Maxwell's father's connection to Mossad. all of that's very possible. And when you think about running a capture operation for American politicians, judges, courts, and then to have that, to see it all and to know that the evidence exists, but yet you can't do anything and you're being told you got to sit on your hands. I can't see Dan Bongino being a willing participant on sitting on your hands when he's probably saying, hey, we got to turn this loose. But now he's in the catch-22 of probably a very hard and fast NDA that won't allow him to tell you what that means. So we just got to give him his space for what it is. I mean, I'm sure it was evil.
Yeah. Beyond evil. So here's my first question for chat tonight. For all of you, those of you watching this live, go ahead and put your chat in, your comment in chat. And for those of you who are watching us later, drop a comment. I try to get to them if I possibly can. So drop us a comment later. But here's a question. Do you guys believe that Dan Bongino seen something, knows something that shocked him to his core that made him want to leave? Do you think that maybe he left because of personal reasons, whether it's health or family? Or do you know, I don't know. I still think that there's some things there that we'll never know. And that Dan Bongino, I think he made the move to protect his family, and he got threatened. And that's my thought. Jeff, yours?
Well, that's in the scope of possibilities. You
Yeah.
know, if what is going on is what we believe is going on, these people are playing for all the marbles. And I believe that, as he was on President Obama's Secret Service detail, he knew a lot of stuff. But I think because curiosity kills the cat, once you have access to information that you would like to know what actually transpired, and you start reading that material and the foundings of it, it could do a major mind game on you. But there's stuff that when I left, there was some NDAs on some programs that I worked on that were 130 years. So that
Jeez.
would have that would have put me at like 160, at the time of those programs. Uh, and I do believe that he definitely was frustrated because there was full evidence of major crimes being committed against the American people and foreign countries that they should I believe he's the type of person that would say screw it, let's go put some handcuffs on people.
Yeah.
But I don't believe it's the White House that's holding them back. I don't believe it's Pam Bondi, even though I'm on really on the fence with her. I don't believe it's in her hands. I believe that we are in a continuity of government status.
Well,
And
here is Grok on Dan Bongino, and then Dan Bongino responded to it. So Grok says, "No, that's not what I meant. Bongino advocated for releasing the Epstein files multiple times in 2025. As FBI deputy director, he pushed for transparency, but clashed with the DOJ over redactions, leading to his resignation in late 2025. Sources indicate internal conflicts limited full disclosure, not a lack of effort on his part." And Bongino responds to Grok with this statement: Grok versus the anti-Trump doomers trying to destroy his administration. Friends, don't let friends fall for doomer bullshit. 2026 will be one of the best in our country's story's history. And what are your thoughts on that? Either one of you.
well, I'll let John go ahead. Go ahead, John.
Well, that's a tough one, Mike. I am firmly convinced that if we're not under continuity of government, any of these people that are attempting to communicate and deal with Bongino when they know that he's under an NDA, how do you reply? What would be, I'm sure he's got to have a legal team to make sure that he doesn't cross any lines with anything that he says.
Yeah.
That's got to be a thin line of where do you go? What can you say? What can't you say? It's not like you can just go dropping hints, because then are you in breach of the NDA, and then then the end of Dan Bongino's show. And, I wouldn't want to be in his footprint right now. I feel for the guy, because I believe he's a stone cold patriot. I think he got there and thought he had a mission that he was going to be able to get things done. And he soon realized, they're telling me all this, I'm seeing all this, and no action's being taken. And then if it is the military, that makes better sense than someone inside of the Trump administration, Pam Bondi, or anybody that they're holding back from. They've got the clear evidence. Trump has openly said Barack Obama is a traitor. When he openly speaks that, he can say it. He's the presidente. He's the commander in chief, and he can get away with it. Well, does he have the same information that Bongino had? And then is Bongino the kind of guy? Well, look, if this son of a gun's a traitor, why ain't he in a cage?
Yeah.
That's what I want to know. We all want to know.
I think he was frustrated for sure with the lack of things actually happening. And I don't know how that stuff goes together. So I can't sit here and say, well, it should have been easy, because it probably is not easy. Let me play a video that was Dan Bongino. This was Dan Bongino on February the 2nd. And we'll play this video real quick and we'll get Jeff B's reaction to it. Let me, well, hold on. I got the wrong one. Let me stop share and share it again. It popped up on another screen. So let me share this one. There we go. So this is Dan Bongino back on his show, and then I'll get Jeff B's thoughts on this.
Oh, can't wait to get back on the air. February 2nd, 10 a.m. Eastern Time. The return of the Dan Bongino Show. Lovers, haters, friends, supporters, detractors, you're all welcome. Make that chat room fire. I want to hear it all. Rumble.com/Bongino, February 2nd, 10 a.m. live. See you there.
So I'm gonna ask chat, but I'm gonna ask Jeff B and my co-host John Estabrooks tonight too. And I think we all agree. I think the three of us will probably agree on this. So here's my question to chat. Do you guys think that Dan Bongino is more productive and more of a threat behind the mic? Or do you think that he was more of a threat behind the badge? I'll go to Jeff B and then to John Estabrooks. I think he wanted to be more effective behind the badge, but I think his hands were tied. So I think, in my opinion, I think he's more effective behind the mic. Go ahead, Jeff B.
Well, in a certain sense, I think he screwed on both ends, because one, he's not going to be able to discuss a lot. There's going to be a lot of meetings that I was told took place where some individuals, including the big chair, went off the deep end, and not at Trump, but it walked out of the Oval Office. And the circumstances weren't told to me, but it was very, very heated. And getting back to where I was saying, I don't think there is much that Bongino, Cash, Pam Bondi right now can do, because I believe that we're in continuity of government. And with the continuity of government, and we can get into it in short. Going back to the evening of January 6th and going to Trump openly discussing the Insurrection Act. The the phrasing that the president is required.
Good. You're not sharing what we were talking about right before the show started, right, Jeff?
No.
Okay, because I want to save that for the end of this hour, because I think what you have to say about that is pretty amazing. So stick with us on this, because we're gonna share this right at the end of the first hour. So don't spill the beans on that one too quick.
No. So the president at the end of the Insurrection Act, okay, if it was invoked, and it's my personal belief it was, the president has to make another statement like he did. You must go home peacefully. That's the first requirement of the Insurrection Act. In closing, once the military then says the insurrection's been squashed, which, if we just witnessed another insurrection at a church, whether people want to believe it or not, that was an insurrection, and we'll get into that here in a little bit. But the military, I believe, the military is a very slow and methodical operation. Okay, when I was working TAC Intel and gathering data and gathering targets to present to SIMPAC Fleet, Commander in Chief of Pacific Forces for the Navy, the evidence was there, but it was a very slow, methodical. Now, once the military moves, it's fast. Once they give the orders to go, and I think there's a lot of stuff that has to happen simultaneously. Just like this, everyone's so worried about this Epstein list, and I get it. Is your life going to change tomorrow if that's published tonight? Absolutely not. There's going to be a lot of stuff that you're never going to know about. They don't even have to really come out with an Epstein list. All I want to see is if one person, just one, who did anything adherent to a child, a minor, God, show them in cuffs and tell them what the hell they're in cuffs for. I think that would calm a lot of this garbage down. And with Bongino, if Bongino was on the other side of the aisle in his views, and he went out and he discussed stuff that was in an NDA, they would not even bat an eye. Nothing would happen. If Bongino were to get on the air and discuss stuff that's in his NDA, they're slapping the cuffs on him.
Yep. Yep.
No doubt about it.
Yep.
Okay. Well, we're going to shift gears here, because I was also told today by producer Tammy that today is also, what is today, gentlemen?
1 year.
1 year.
Yeah.
1 year. So I'm gonna go to John Estabrooks, but I gotta say thank you real quick. Let me change screens here. I want to say thank you real quick to I don't know who somebody is, but they said blessings to Tammy and her family. May they heal quickly. They bought us all 3 coffees tonight, so I really appreciate that. So those 3 coffees, they put us for our goal for the Z Grill at $30. And so we're starting to climb. We'll get to that goal there. So we got the Z Grill for the March giveaway. So thank you for those coffees. Drop your name there in chat so we can get it. That way we can put you in. So for every $5 you spend in our store, Jeff's store, and every $5 donation that you make through coffees, is an entry into the drawing for March. So every $5 spent is entry into to the drawing for March. That's the silver, that's the Z grill, that's all of it. So thank you for that. Is it Jacqueline? I hope I pronounced the name right. So let me pull this up, John Esterbrooks. I found this in the email that that Tammy sent me. Like I said, she pretty much produced the show for me this afternoon, even though she was busier than shit. So I appreciate Tammy doing this for us. So here is from Breitbart. Year one of wins, Trump's top accomplishments in the first year of the golden age. I know Kathy H needed to hear this. So Tammy sent this to me for Kathy H. So President Donald Trump worked on warp speed to make America great again his first year back in office, and the results on countless fronts have been just amazing, to be honest with you. And so here, and I'll drop this link in chat so you guys can grab it. I'll drop it in the Rumble chat, and I'll drop it in the StreamYard chat so that you guys can grab it. But just a whole list of the stuff that he's accomplished, whether you agree with it, whether you don't agree with it, whether you think he hasn't done enough. I'll go to John Esterbrooks. What are your thoughts on that, John?
Well, number one, if you really want to see that, I think the White House, you can go to the White House's website and you can pull up the way they captured his first year. And I think it's a document that you can look at and read. Yeah, it's massive what has taken place. You know, the sealing down and locking down of the border, massive. The starting of the, removal of criminal illegals, which, I mean, that's kind of a misnomer, huh? Because if you cross the border illegal, aren't you a criminal? I mean, if that's the first act you take is to break the law, then you're a criminal. And then money wise and what he's done for the economy, he recognized real quick, if you want to start the decline of inflation, you've got to increase the production and reduce the gas prices and oil prices, because transportation affects every single thing that we do, how it moves and how it gets here. So he's taken large steps, leaps and bounds. The big, beautiful bill, the tax break that's going to give Americans is massive. You know, when you think about that, he continually is speaking about doing away with the Internal Revenue Service, which I don't, that I'm all
I don't
for
disagree with that at all, John.
No, hell no, I don't either, because they on my tail every day. I have to keep an attorney on. I mean, I'm paying a guy right now to keep me out of their clutches.
Wow.
But so that's massive, and you see his effort to really impact people that are on Social Security. Everything that's been done on the healthcare front, I totally agree with. Robert Kennedy is moving at a really rapid pace. When we think about everything that's happened in this nation and when it involves the healthcare system under Obama, and when Nancy Pelosi, when we were all in D.C., and she walked up there, locked arm in arm with her Democrat friends and rammed that down our throats. And then we had to wait to read it. And I was there, folks. I mean, listen, that was a sad day for me, because it was like we had no voice at all. Even though there was tens of thousands of us, we had no voice. No one wanted to hear us. We weren't going to be able to receive and get the documents. And then when we did, it was such a massive piece of legislation. We had to split it up. For our Tea Party, I think we gave 50 pages to each person. When you read it, you understand it, come back and report on it. And that's the way we handled it. And when it became very clear as they sold our healthcare system to insurance companies. That's the bottom line, to where insurance companies have more say-so about your healthcare than your private physician, your doctor. Now, doctors in hospitals, they all were handed over, and your treatment and your care were handed over to insurance companies who have profited insanely. And so that there's corruption, that exists. He's outed that. I mean, that's a big deal. When you start, The first thing when bringing Elon in there was just the opening salvo that they had to have. And the first one they had to do to cripple the Democrat Party was to kill USAID, because that's how they funneled money to all of their political campaigns. Every single one of them were getting donations through USAID. So he knew where the legs was. He chopped them off. And then Elon just hammered it. I mean, there's so much that Elon, I think what we're seeing now evolving, and I won't go into it, but the economics that's coming about right now, I think Elon Musk was fully aware of, and that it could have taken place. But, the timing of what has to be revealed to the people that don't care. You have fellow Americans that are not in this chat, they're not on this show, that don't care. They just want to go to work, come home, be with their family. They don't want to hear nothing about politics. They don't care. They want to live their life. They're scraping to get by. For the love of God, they're the workers. Those are the people that illegal immigration impacted, because the money that was supposed to be set aside for them and for all your Social Security recipients, everybody on Medicare, all those programs were being annihilated by illegal immigration. And it was a deal and a ploy to gather votes for the Democrat Party. That was always their mission. And we were called tinfoil hat wearing son of a guns. If we brought that up, we were racist. And it has nothing to do with race. It has to do with criminality. Every nation that I've ever, and I've got a big old passport, have been a lot of places. And I never entered anywhere where they just said, well, come on in, John. You don't need a passport. No, I had to have documentation. Why am I there? What am I going to leave? Everything has to be done. And don't overstay your deal, because I did that one time in Brazil by just 4 days, and it wasn't me. It was weather on an oil rig. But when I got to that airport, them some guns sucked me to the side, and I had to pay a penalty.
Holy shit.
I overstayed my
you overstayed your welcome, John.
Well, that's not hard to
do. Jeff B., what do you think about Trump's first year, his first 365 days? I'm asking live chat tonight for those of you over on Rumble, for those of you there on X, and I'm seeing comments coming through there on X. So if you guys want to hit that live chat, we can see your comments there on X too, YouTube and Facebook as well. Do you guys, and I'm asking live chat, do you guys feel like Trump's first year was a win, a loss? He didn't do good enough. There's still more yet to do. Of course, there's always more to do. But what are your guys' thoughts on Trump's first year? Do you approve of it? Do you disapprove of it? I can take any of those comments there because I think it's important to get everybody's ideas and everybody's thoughts. So I'll go to Jeff B. next. Jeff, what are your thoughts on Trump's first year?
I mean, I think he's done a lot of good stuff, but I wish he'd quit campaigning. I mean, I'm tired of hearing the same bullshit over and over again. I mean, not that we haven't seen action. We need to see some action. And, when we get closer to November, if there is not 100% that validation of what we believe with the Big E, with all this other stuff, he's screwed.
Yeah,
he's screwed, because and I'm not just saying Democrats, I'm also saying Republicans.
Yes, sir.
because just look at all this fraud that they're uncovering, and I think everybody, no matter what side of the aisle you're on, I believe that everybody is pissed off about the fraud. But whoever is coming up with a plan to communicate this to the American people, they suck. They really suck. Because to me, and I'll preface this by saying, if everything is true in Wisconsin with the Somali fraud, with the daycare, every American should be pissed off. And granted, you have fringe clowns, idiots, even though I agree with their right to do it, even though I don't my personal beliefs, I don't agree with why they're doing it, but they have a right to be out there to do it as long as you don't have what happened last night in Portland where you had 2 cops shot, you know. um and to me it's just mind numbing. And how another point that I believe tells me there is something going on is what the Supreme Court did today. The Supreme Court did a close of business, and they said they were not going to address the issue of tariffs. So Trump gets to roll with the tariffs. So that tells me that I believe the whole IRS system is going to be done.
Yeah.
God, I hope and pray that the IRS problem goes away, that we don't have property tax, we don't have income tax again. That would just totally be amazing. I would love that. I'm gonna give you guys the flip side of this, and I'd like to get not just Chat's opinion, but I guess my co-host as well. But let me say thank you guys real quick. There's been some more coffees bought for us, so I just want to say thank you to I believe it's Carol. Carol bought each one of us a coffee tonight. Thank you for those coffees. That puts us now at $65. So we're still climbing. We'll get there to our goal of $750 for that amazing Z grill that we'll give away in February. So I want to put my input in on Donald Trump's first year. Now, mine's a little bit different than everyone else. I think that with him having 4 years off after February or November of 2020, I think he had a lot of time to put things together. I know a lot of people believe in a plan. A lot of people believe in continuity of government and shadow government and all that stuff. And I do believe that after the election of 2020 ended up like it did, I think he had a lot of time to really think through not just the corruption part of stuff, but okay, what are we going to do when we hit the ground? And remember back the first 30 days when he came back in the office, I agree with Jeff B. Elon came in there and Doge came in there, and we saw so much corruption. It was totally insane. And I think that in my opinion, his first 6 months of this current administration is better than the last 6 months. And I think there's starting to become a lot of hangups. And this is just my own speculation of this. I think there's been a lot of different hiccups that's causing him problems. And it slowed him down, to be frank. And so is that going to change in the future? Is 2026 going to be something different? I want to read all you guys a letter. And I think I saw the comment there in chat where this letter was written by Mike Flynn, General Mike Flynn. So let me share this real quick on the screen. And I know I sent it to Jeff earlier, or maybe it was to John Estabrooks earlier. Maybe I sent it to both of you. I don't know. I was told that this was written by, again, General Mike Flynn. And I don't know if it is or isn't. I have no clue, but I wanted to read this to you guys just to give you an idea of maybe a different perspective and what some Americans are thinking right now. So it says, Mr. President, I'm writing this as someone who voted for you, backed you, still believes you're the only man stubborn enough to take on the rot in Washington. You didn't get elected because people wanted business as usual. You got elected because people wanted the swamp drained, not lightly filtered and set back into circulation. It's been done over a year now. or it's been over a year now. And respectfully, the American people are starting to wonder where the handcuffs are. We're all told accountability is coming. We're all told deep state would finally face consequences. Instead, we've seen is delay, deflection, and the same old DC game where nobody important ever seems to answer for anything. Now, I played a video from Shipwreck that Tammy sent me a few months ago. And I know some people watched it and probably didn't get the whole meaning behind it. But if you remember that video, she went on and on and on saying, look at the letter I wrote. Look at my outfit. Look, there's going to be accountability. And she just kept repeating it for like 4 minutes straight. It was so annoying to hear it. But I tie that to this letter. Like, a lot of people are tired of hearing there's going to be consequences. People are going to pay for what they did, but yet we don't ever get any action. And so here's the last half of the letter. It says, that brings me to Pam Bondi. Mr. President, this isn't personal. It's practical. The Department of Justice under her watch has not delivered the accountability your voters were promised. No major players held responsible. No real teeth. No visual fear from the people who's been abusing power for years. At some point, loyalty to the mission has to matter more than loyalty to individuals. If the DOJ isn't moving, it's because the evidence if the DOJ isn't moving, it's not because the evidence isn't there. It's because the will isn't there. And if the will isn't there, then it's time for a change. Plain and simple. You always said you hire the best, and when sometimes it doesn't work, you fix it. That's why people trust you. That's why they voted for you again. But keeping someone in place who isn't delivering sends the wrong message to the American people who are tired of watching the same unelected operations stake free. We don't need speeches. We don't need delays. What we need is actions. And if Pam Bondi can't or won't take the fight to the deep state, it's time for her to step aside and let someone who will do the job take over. Someone with a backbone, someone who understands that accountability isn't optional anymore. The country is watching, the voters are watching, and they're ready to stand behind you. But they need to see that the fight they believed in is still being fought. Respectfully, we the people. Now, I'll go on record and say that I feel exactly the same as what this letter has been sent to the president. Again, I don't know if it's sent to him. I don't know if General Flynn wrote it. I don't know. I picked it up off of Facebook today, and I thought, holy shit, I feel that way as well. So here's my question to you live chatters tonight, and then I'm going to go to my co-host. Do you guys agree with this letter? Who? It doesn't even matter who wrote the damn thing. I could have wrote it. Jeff could have wrote it. John Estabrooks, Tammy, any one of us could have wrote it. Do you agree with this letter? Do you feel the same way? Or do you think it's bullshit? Do you think that it's all part of the plan and you're going to eventually see this movie come to fruition? I'm curious on what your comments are, because me personally, I feel this letter. I really do think that the American people are getting tired of being pushed aside, being dangled the carrot in front of us, but nothing actually happens. And my question to my co-host is, what do you think about this letter? And more importantly, do you think it will affect the midterms? I'll start with John Estabrooks and then go Jeff B.
Well, it definitely will affect the midterms, because I write to my congressman and senator quite frequently, and they're both good Republicans. You know, Clay Higgins, he paid his way onto many committees. And what I see is evidence. How many cases have been made? So we have the election interference. That's done. That's proven. We've seen enough evidence. We have all of the claims against Dr. Anthony Fauci and the treason that took place with the entire COVID gambit. So we have all the evidence of that. We have evidence that people have gone in and sat in front of our Congress and openly lied. We know, what's his name? James Comey openly lied, FBI,
Yep.
Well, okay, where's the change? Every single thing that we've been given evidence of and has been verified and proven now, why aren't the arrests taking place? And if it's Pam Bondi, I don't believe it is. I believe Pam Bondi does exactly what Mr. Trump tells her to do. And, he'll tell you, no, no, BS. Don't ever believe that, because Washington doesn't work like that. That's foul, corrupt. The entire Congress and Senate needs to be dissolved and start over. They're all
I
foul
agree.
and corrupt. The system is broken. We as Americans knows this system is not delivering justice. I don't care if it's a Democrat or a Republican. We're not seeing justice dispersed like it would be justice on us. If we did anything near what these people have committed acts of treason.
Yes.
They've committed fraud. They have openly lied to Congress. And if there's no penalty for that, then, you want to see the chaos inside the streets? Well, that's why you get it, huh? All these people, let me tell you something. In our Constitution, we do have the right to peacefully assemble. What's happening in Minnesota ain't peaceful assembly. They're breaking
Right.
the law. They should all be
Yes.
rounded up. Why aren't they rounding them son of a guns up to where they don't have to see them every night? Get those poor son of a guns out of the cold. Take them out of cold weather and put them in a nice warm jail cell. And let me tell you something: the ones that are getting paid, there ain't enough paycheck to get them out of jail if you sling their butt in jail for insurrection.
Yes. Yes. John, I agree with what you're saying. And I think it's going to be pretty interesting in the next, say, 6 months. Camperman bought us all a coffee tonight. I want to say thank you to Camperman. He says Trump needs to jail some people. Thank you for the coffees.
Yeah.
Thank you for that comment, Camperman. I appreciate it. So that puts us now right at $80. So we keep climbing closer toward our goal for that Z Grill. So thank you for that, Camperman. Jeff B., your thoughts on that letter?
Yeah, I mean, there's no doubt I agree with it, and I think that letter would resonate with probably 85% of the American populace. But I look at General Flynn as probably one of the most respected generals, line officer, flag officers that the military has ever produced. And if there was a popularity contest, I think he would absolutely just smack the garbage out of Trump. With that being said, I can remember a post that was put on Twitter by General Flynn, and it had General Flynn in a glass box, and it said, "Mr. President, break in case of an emergency." And I think we're about ready to see that, because General Flynn is going to be able to tie in a lot of national security issues. And, going to, with these protesters, I believe Trump is holding back. And there's going to be an event, I believe, that's going to force his hand. And I thought maybe that event might have been last night, but sadly, if it was, a white cop shooting somebody of a different ethnic background, they'd have been burning shit. I think everybody can agree on that. But I think a lot of these protests are allowed to go on to piss more people off, because it's working. I mean, there's Democrats that I'm friends with. We don't talk politics, but they are getting fatigued. They are getting tired of it. It's because these people, maybe not, they're getting paid to go out there and wreak havoc. And the moment that you take a bottle of water that's frozen and thrown at law enforcement, that's a no go for me. And
Yeah.
damn well, if he does pull the Insurrection Act publicly, and they do declare martial law publicly in certain cities, you chuck one of those bottles at a jarhead, you're going to get your ass whipped. And everybody will back a jarhead because it's going to come.
Well, I see a lot of comments there in chat on both sides of the argument here, and I appreciate all your guys' comments. And if you're watching this later on replay, go ahead and drop a comment there at the bottom of the show. I'll try to get to them if I can. We're at the bottom of the first hour. Stay tuned for the second hour because again, I'm on Unleash John Estabrooks about the middle of the second hour, and he's got a lot he wants to cover tonight with our economy, what's going on with gold and silver and paper and currency and all the stuff. So you're not going to want to miss that. I know it's going to be a long-winded night tonight, but I thought it was important to at least try to focus on about 2 hours because it was just too much information for us to try to get all in an hour or 90 minutes. So it's just wild, and a lot of people are going to be shocked, and a lot of people I think are going to be disappointed in certain things. So, Jeff, let's go ahead and start covering what we were talking about in the back there, backstage before the show went on, because there was something that you wanted to bring up and something that you thought might surprise people and they might be very interested in. So I'm going to go ahead and say thank you to Lori Comfrey tonight. She also bought us 3 coffees. Which puts us now at what is it, $95. So we're getting close. She says, so great to see y'all on tonight and praying for Tammy. So thank you for your prayers, Lori Comfrey. Really appreciate it. Jeff, the floor is yours.
All right. So, this whole thing with the church and Don Lemon and some of these other individuals, this stuff here blows my mind. So they have made an announcement that they are going to go after Don Lemon and other individuals on the FACE Act. I never even knew this damn thing existed. All right. And then they're also going to go after these people based on the Enforcement Act of 1871, which is commonly referred to as the KKK Act. Didn't know this existed. Okay. Now I'm gonna read this to you.
KKK Act.
Yeah, I mean that's what it's commonly referred to as. So you have to listen to the words and see how creatively DOJ is going to apply this. And as you start hearing this, it's going to trigger what I believe happened on January 6th. Even
Okay.
though, it was a church, a place of worship, both of these acts requires the US military to be involved. Okay? So
Okay.
we'll start with the Enforcement Act or the KKK Act. It says it's a key piece of reconstructive legislation designed to combat the Ku Klux Klan terrorism by making Klan intimidation tactics federal crimes, holding state officials accountable for civil rights violations, and empowering the president to use federal troops to suppress violence and conspiracies against the government. Passed under President Ulysses S. Grant, it enforces the 14th Amendment and targeted the Klan efforts to undermine Black voting rights and equality. Okay, so here's the key provisions of it. Federal offenses criminalize Klan activities like conspiring to interfere with voting, holding office, or serving as juries. Civil rights enforcement, allowing federal courts to hear cases where state officials deny citizens equal protection or civil rights. Okay, this is where I think the Tina Peters is going to come into effect. Presidential power. It authorizes the president to use the militia and suspend habeas corpus to suppress Klan violence. Now, when it says Klan violence, it doesn't mean you have to be out there in bed sheets. Klan violence is terrorism, okay? And used for jury reform to prohibit Klan members or sympathizers from serving on juries in cases related to Klan activities. Okay, so that's the first one. And the funny thing is when they told Don Lemon this, he laughed. He goes, "The KKK Act? Yeah, KKK was against us. They can't use that against me." Remember, civil rights isn't just for minorities. Civil rights is for every U.S. citizen, no matter what creed, no matter what color. Okay, and so now you have the FACE Act. This is what people are saying, well, that has nothing to do with what they did because they did it inside of a church. This is for healthcare clinics. Okay, which you do your research and you look how many times Joe Biden or whoever was playing Joe Biden invoked these two acts, and the media never said a damn thing about it. Okay, so the FACE Act is a freedom of access to clinic entrances. In 1994, the U.S. law that makes it a federal crime to use force, threats, or physical obstruction to prevent people from obtaining or providing reproductive health services or to interfere with religious worship, protecting both clinics and places of worship. It allows for the federal criminal penalties and civil remedies for violence or obstructive conduct, ensuring access to healthcare and religious services free from intimidation. Though its enforcement and application remain subject to political debate, particularly concerning protests at clinics and churches. Okay, so we can skip over the healthcare clinic, but the places of worship, it protects individuals from interference with their rights to worship. Okay, it says what it prohibits: using threatening force against somebody, physical obstruction that injures, intimidates, or interferes with someone, intentionally damaging property of a clinic or a house of worship. Enforcement is done by the U.S. Attorney General, can seek injunctions, damages, and civil penalties. Violations can lead to federal criminal charges with penalties increasing for repeat offenses. Okay? This also, the president of the United States can also use federal troops to empower this act.
Yeah, I heard what you said. Federal troops.
Correct.
Yes.
And that's why I think we have all these quick reaction forces, that were trained up. And I think the warning shot was sent to the U.S. Postal Service when that letter was sent to all postal employees. That I was able to confirm this morning what that letter was. It was informing them that as part of being a federal worker, you cannot go out and commit crimes under these two acts, which that postal union did a few days ago.
So let's go to John Estabrooks. What do you make of all this, John?
Well, I'll tell you what, they can be blessed that they entered that church and not my church. Because I would have assured that there would have probably been some destruction of property and it would have been their heads. Yeah, you know, if you don't take a stand on that, and let me tell you something, the KKK, that's not some poorly written piece of legislation. That was adopted in law, and I'm going to tell you, Mr. Lemon may not be aware of it, but he soon will be, because they all need to be charged. Everyone that, just think about what they did to the J6ers. You know, what did they do? So, okay, that's fine. They were all charged with insurrection. Do you think that when you violate the FACE Act or the KKK Act, that this is going to just go away and be swept under the rug? It can't be. And if it is, there's another reason. That's just one more thing that we've all had to suffer and witness, the crimes created and carried out against the American people. These crimes that we're talking about, that's an attack on every single American when they entered that church. It's not just that church. It's what's possible for the next group of yahoos. You know, I mean, are they going to target Christians? Because we got evidence that they possibly are. You know, how many Christians have been attacked in front of an abortion clinic? You know, we've witnessed all that. And we've seen it go the very wrong way and prosecute the poor guy that they went and pulled him out of his house in front of all his kids. And think about what Biden did. And what did he use to do that? The FACE Act. So Biden was, you know, his FBI was all about taking on anybody with a conservative opinion and doing what you had to do to all these evil J6 people. And then now we know all the truth behind all that, all the fact that they destroyed evidence, that they hid the evidence, that they knew who the pipe bomber was and didn't do a thing with any of that information. You know, but as soon as you go out and you stub your toe and you offend a person of transgender orientation, you know, if you don't get the right pronouns right, you lose your freaking job. Man, we're under assault, and it's time that somebody stands up for us. And I would pray to God that it'd be Pam Bondi, but you better not waste any time on this one. America's watching.
Yeah, America's watching, and there's a lot of pissed off people. A lot of people who voted for this administration that doesn't feel like there's any traction when it comes to the DOJ, Pam Bondi, Kash Patel. You know, Tammy and I talk daily, and she's brought up multiple times. What about the Clintons? They were supposed to show up for court, and they haven't showed up for court. And now the Republicans, I think it's just a song and dance, smoke and mirrors with the Republicans say, oh, we're going to go after him for contempt like they did to Steve Bannon. But I honestly, I don't believe anything's going to come of the Clintons. I think they're gonna just do nothing, and there's going to be nothing that's going to happen. What's your thoughts on that?
Well, I'll tell you what I believe. Our Congress is a freaking joke. You can go up there and you can lie to them if you want to. We've got evidence of this now. People go up there and lie to them. People don't show up. And if it's on one side, you're in jail. You're in handcuffs. You're arrested. You know, Peter Navarro, you know, look the way they treated him and the way that he was drugged. You know, he was carried in handcuffs. Steve Bannon, another perfect example. But if you're the Clintons, We're going to talk about it. We're going to probably, well, no, there's no probably to it. They thumbed their nose at the United States Congress. They said, we don't have to answer any subpoena issued by the Congress. You give that a try, Mike, Jeff, listeners. If you get a subpoena
I'd
from
be
Congress,
in jail
don't
right
show up.
now. I'd be in handcuffs for not reporting to Congress. You know,
That's it.
why did they get an exemption, Jeff B?
Well, I honestly, and some of the audience and listeners may not agree with me on this. I don't think they're going to be able to show up. And the reason I don't think they're going to be able to show up is Congress is null and void right now.
Yeah.
Could it also be something else that we've been told over the years, Jeff
Well,
B?
you haven't really heard too much of Bill Clinton since sepsis. You haven't heard too much from Hillary Clinton since the old exit of the church. And I'm with everybody else. If these accusations and if these conspiracies are true, we need to see it.
Yeah.
The history books need to be written on, because there's no accountability. And I think this is where Trump is going to have to invoke the Insurrection Act, because you have police departments openly defying the orders of the federal government. And if you think that's batshit crazy, I've seen on numerous alternative media that there is a lady that's going to be sworn in, I believe, is a governor of a city or a state, that has said she's part of a socialist party.
Hmm.
She was elected into office,
Mhm.
and she said that she is going to use Antifa members as her security detail.
That would not shock me.
And there are pictures now. Everyone knows how AI is. I haven't had anybody be able to confirm to whether this shit's real or not, but they had a picture of this lady with these guys and gals standing behind her with gas mask and shit on that looked like the Third Reich. And I'm serious.
I don't mean to laugh, because that really is not funny. But holy shit. Go ahead,
Yeah.
Jeff.
And I seen the picture and I was like, the only thing we're missing is the Sikh Hail in this, and I think this is where this FACE Act and this KKK Act are going to be used, because everyone needs to remember Antifa was classified as a terrorist organization. So now you have a member of a political party using a terrorist organization as their security detail.
Holy cow. Okay. There's a lot to unwrap here. So I want to go I want to go to the audience real quick. I want to go to live chat, because I know Jeff's talking about a lot of stuff, and I want to get John Estabrook's comment on that, but we're about 9 minutes away before I'm going to give John Estabrook's the floor and let him cover what he wanted to bring tonight. Okay. So here's my question for you in chat. And I want all comments. Do you guys believe the reason why the Clintons can't show up in Congress, and I know a lot of you do believe this, is because the Clintons are no longer around? Now, I used to believe that, not so sure about it anymore. I know some of you believe that it's just actors that are playing the part. Do you believe that? Or do you believe more like I do, where I just believe that there's not really any accountability anymore? Well, there never really has been. And that these sons of bitches get away with damn near murder. And when it comes to the Clintons, I'd say probably that too. So you don't want to be you don't want to get Clinton size. So do you believe? I mean, what do you believe? And if you're watching this later, go ahead, drop us a comment there. Would love to read it. Are they dead? Are they alive? Are they clones? Are they actors? Or is this just more of the same? And it just they can get away with whatever. John Estabrooks, I'm going to let you give us a short answer on that. And then I want you to go ahead and present to us what you want to talk about tonight, and we'll run as long as we need to after that. Go ahead, sir.
Okay. Well, as far as the Clintons, if they haven't been executed, let's hope they're cooling their heels in Gitmo. And look, can't even comprehend just how far they've gone with the ability to mask up. And everything, that's all possible. We watch movies, we see it, So that, it's hell not to know. And that's all we're asking. Somebody be held accountable.
Yep.
Just make them as accountable as we are as people, as a citizen. I can go to my little local courthouse and I can watch guys get 1-2 years of jail time just over, they wrote a hot check. They did something. And look, criminals are criminal, and but we suffer the consequences in real time, not like 6 months from now, not like 8 years after the fact of everything that Hillary did, that entire what she carried out, and she lied and she destroyed evidence. Think about you. What would happen to John and Mike if we got a federal subpoena for named evidence, and then we destroyed the evidence? Man,
I probably have a roommate in prison named Bubba.
That's it.
Bubba.
Exactly.
And he'd probably want to try to keep me warm every night, and I wouldn't enjoy it.
Well, that's a fact for us, but it's not a fact for what we see. And when justice is supposed to be blind, there's no way. We've got 2 or 3 tiers of justice, and it don't work out for the working guy. And it darn sure, it's way weighted one side for anybody that's politically connected and got the resources and the capital to buy the system. And that's all it is. It's a maritime system that we don't fit into, brother.
Yep. Well, John, let's shift gears to the last little bit tonight, because I think it's super important for people to hear this. Stay tuned, folks, because some great information is about ready to be spilled here at LWN, and it's something, again, I am always concerned about. I try to pay attention, and now I'm getting so busy it's hard to really keep up with everything I used to keep up with because I'm too busy working. That's why I like having John Estabrooks, Jeff B., Tammy on here, and all you guys in chat can help us along too with your comments. If you're watching this later, go ahead and drop a comment. Tell us what your thoughts are. But I'm going to go ahead and turn the floor over to John Estabrooks, and let's talk about the economy and the possibility of crisis that we could see in the future. So go ahead, John.
It ain't in the future, brother. It's here now. First off, I want everybody so that we've got a starting point. In 1917, when we handed and created the central bank, the Federal Reserve, the central bank is the Bank of London. And the Federal Reserve is just a corporation operating through the Bank of London and the European bankers. That's a fact, stone cold. Look it up if you want to. The Internal Revenue Service was then created to collect the taxes for that Federal Reserve system, not for us. I mean, and there was a time frame where Internal Revenue Service, the U.S. Treasury didn't see anything that they were collecting. But under the turning over, since we turned our currency in 1971, Tricky Dick Nixon, under pressure, because people started to lose faith, and you got to think about what was happening with Vietnam and JFK, LBJ. The people's confidence around the world on what track the United States was on became questionable. So people that had their gold stored to back their currencies in Europe France and Charles de Gaulle sent a ship over and said, give us every ounce of our gold. Then while the next ship was on the way coming, I want to say maybe from Spain, requesting the same thing, Tricky Dick cuts his deal with the central bankers, right? That they would make the U.S. dollar the world reserve currency. And then it had to be based on, they used petrochemicals, oil, because they had to get the Middle East, Saudi Arabia, and their whole little organization over there to buy in on it. And they did. And when they signed it, then our dollar is the world reserve currency. That is coming to an end because our dollar is fiat currency. When you read your little debt note that you carry in your pocket every day,
Yep.
and we except for exchange, it's all good, but it's still worthless paper. And here's the reality. Since 1917, when we handed everything over to this Federal Reserve banking system, we've lost 98% of the value of our dollar. Let that sink in. If you took this dollar, they'd give you two cents. Because prior to that, and prior to Nixon, and when Nixon did away with the silver certificates, you could walk into a Federal Reserve bank with a $5 silver certificate, and then they had to give you in exchange, whether it was a single silver dime, they had to give you that on demand. You had the right to demand, I want to take my money out. And that was the medium. And, we had the gold standard. There's still a lot of gold notes still floating around. But let's get to where we're at today. When we see silver, and you covered it pretty good, Mike. When we first started doing the coin giveaway, we were able to go buy silver bullion, the Buffalo rounds or whatever, and we could get them for $18. And then,
yeah, I bought them for $18 an ounce. I bought $800 worth of it. I gave all of it away here on this show. And so anybody who received that gift, what was that, 3-4 years ago, that $18 silver coin that you got from LWN is now worth almost $100. So about a week and a half ago, we reached our $500 goal here at LWN. I reached out to Miles Franklin. I bought another $500 worth of coins. I paid $82 per coin for that, John Estabrooks. I looked the other day, and gold is getting real close to breaking $100 an ounce. And so I've already made money on that, but we're getting ready to give all those coins away in March. And here's the thing, John Estabrooks, how much are those coins going to be possibly worth in March, 2 months from now, when I go to give those away? They could be well over $100, correct?
Well, they will be. And I'm going to give you, everybody can go look for themselves, because I watched an anomaly take place, because I don't collect just silver rounds. I'm a numismatist. I collect coins, and I've always loved silver eagles, gold eagles. I don't have many gold ones left, but it's silver eagles. I've been a collector of those since the mint started letting us buy them in '86.
Yeah, and John, here's another fact. When we teamed up with Miles Franklin and we started selling gold and silver here at LWN, silver was somewhere between $1,600 and $1,800 an ounce. And I think the other day I looked and it was at like $4,500 or $4,600 an ounce.
Yeah, for
those people who bought that gold back then, you've more than doubled your money.
Yeah, brother Stephen H. He can tell you exactly what he gained, because he did it during our time frame. He got into gold, and I'm glad he did. But so let's go to where we're at. So now, if you pull up the U.S. Mint page today, and you look at the price for a single 2025 Silver Eagle, and here's what I'm going to tell you of the anomaly. They took it down. They had zero, and that was, I guess, 5 days ago. They took down the entire page as far as listing any prices. They just showed everything out of stock, and that was a lie. But now they're back up and they're operating, and the price for a single 2025 Silver Eagle is $169. That's for an ounce of gold. So that when they revalue their assets, because that's part of the U.S. Treasury right there, the mint. So when they revalue their asset, it just gives you some kind of understanding of where it's headed. I believe that here's what's happened. When we saw this jump and it was in $32 range, stayed there, was manipulated. Andy Schechtman talked about it and has talked about it for decades, that COMEX is manipulated by the bankers. And how do they do it? They do it with the same thing that they manipulate us with, paper. So they use call and put options, and they use contracts in the COMEX. And they could manipulate the market up and down. And then they had a price point that all triggered by computer. It's all done and manipulated by a computer. Okay, we're going to drop it today. We're going to sell off these. And when they sell them off, well, the price of silver falls down to 30. Then they say, okay, let's click out. Let's go back in. And then when they go on a buying spree at 30, well, that drives the price back up. And who's making the money? The central bankers. So the central bankers have manipulated all physical silver. Understand that. Now you get the BRICS nations, Vladimir Putin, let's say Brazil, China, South Africa, India, that say, we're not going to play your paper anymore. We're going to take delivery of the metals. They wanted gold. They've been buying gold. They've been on silver, been buying silver. China is loading up every single day. And what did China just do just last week? They said, hey, you can get it, but you're going to pay a premium price because we've said no more. Their people can't leave with an ounce of silver in their pocket to leave China and exit China. They shut down that. They shut down the exchange of commodities. You can do it if you want to have silver and it comes from China. Well, guess what? Their market right now, you go to Shanghai and look at their market, it's trading at $137 an ounce, and ours is trading at 94 today. What's that gap? Where is that gap? Because they hold possession of actual physical metal, and our COMEX don't have it. The banks don't have. They've issued all these ETFs, and every pension fund is loaded up with what they decide, what the banks decide. The central bankers decide, well, okay, you can have a pension fund, but it's got to have this much of U.S. Treasuries. What is the U.S. Treasury? It's a bond, a piece of paper, right? So they issued our debt. They sell our debt on a quarterly basis. And they got bond auctions that you can go and monitor, and you can see who's buying the U.S. debt. Well, guess who's not buying the U.S. debt? Who's liquidating their dollars? China is using American. They went through $680 billion of U.S. debt that they converted from paper to actual physical silver and gold. They're buying it and they're getting rid of their dollars. So they're taking their portfolio, and listen, it's not just China. South Africa's done it. India's doing it. They do not. The last little treasury sale they had, you know who bought the debt? The Federal Reserve banking system. And when they bought the bonds, then they told the Treasury, go ahead and print some more money. So when we look at how many trillions of dollars, $38 trillion of debt, you got to understand, we're paying interest of $1.2 trillion at this interest rate. We were paying more last year, but since interest rates gone down, we're still on the hook for $1.2 trillion of just interest against the debt. And when you look at what we're spending every single day, it's in the billions of dollars just to service the debt. And the debt is on worthless paper. Whenever the Federal Reserve Bank buys the bonds and says, issue currency, so they go ahead and they print the money, right? That is debasing the currency's value. They're debasing the U.S. dollar. Well, okay, what do we have in history that we can go to? And I guess you got to go to Spain did it. England did it. We watched what happened in Venezuela. That's recent history. And that's where the central banks just start flooding, because to keep the lie alive, you have to let everybody think you're a wealthy, wealthy nation. We're $38 trillion in debt, and we're paying 1.2 just to service the debt, so they can blow a smoke and mirrors game with the paper. But when you see then, oh, inflation, well, wait a while. Is it truly inflation, or am I using a debased, devalued currency to buy goods? So if I flood currency into the system and I debase it, and the only people that are buying it is the Federal Reserve and not any foreign country, no foreign country showed up to buy 10-year bonds, 30-year bonds. And that used to be the most secure thing we had when we were asset backed, was our bonds. So now people have become wise. Well, you're just selling me fiat that's worthless, that if you want to put sanctions on me, well, then you can control my market in my country. You can control everything that I transport, everything that I do. And Iceland, I mean, Greenland is all about the shipping lanes for exactly what I'm fixing to tell you. So these vaults, JP Morgan Chase says we have 750 million ounces of silver in our vaults. That's why we're able to issue the ATFs and all of the backing that we've got through in your pension fund. BlackRock's unloading US dollars, and guess where they're shipping their money to and buying into an economy? And it's not the US economy. They're buying into the Chinese economy. That's a fact. And they just sent out guidance from BlackRock to diminish yourself and start to transition into other assets than US bonds and US currency. So BlackRock, the largest corporation on the planet Earth, is saying, hey, man, we're going to get rid of, they're a $10 trillion company, and they're advising all of their people to get out and get into sound money. Whether you got to invest in gold in China or India, wherever, it doesn't matter. There's no silver in the vaults here to cover the COMEX. If all the paper came due today and everybody said, hey, I want to exchange my paper silver, you say, I've got this, JP Morgan Chase, you sold me this, and said that money's sitting in a depository, I want to take delivery of my silver. And if everybody did that, you'd soon find out in a single day, they ain't got it to cover it. They don't have the physical silver to cover it. And here's the reason why. Industrial needs and requirement for silver have gone up by 52% this year. That's industries that when they got a silver contract, a paper contract with COMEX, they want delivery of the metal, and they're taking delivery of the metal. Elon Musk, Tesla, they got to have the silver. They got to have the actual metal. They don't want a piece of paper. So when they fill their contracts, they're filling them for delivery. So they've been taking it down, and every China, every solar panel, every battery that are, these new high-tech batteries are going to use like 3 ounces of silver per freaking battery. They got to have it.
Yep.
So in the having of it and the needing of it, the vaults are being depleted. If industrial demand stays at this level, say for 3 years, we cannot worldwide mining of silver cannot keep up with the requirements of industry. So what did Trump do the other day that no one in the media covered? He didn't go out and say that he did it, but he signed an executive order, and guess what he made? Silver, a strategic metal. We got to have it because we got to have reserves. So he wants to go out and he's buying 500 million ounces, and he's going to buy it over the next 90-day period. So what happens when you talk about supply and demand? You've got a limited supply and a massive demand, where even the United States federal government is saying, hey, we have to get a strategic reserve of silver, and we're going to need 500 million. Okay, so they're going to buy 500 million ounces. What happens to the price of silver? Skyrockets, goes up. And the estimates, I've seen estimates from inside banking sources, guidance saying that silver could hit before the end of this year, before the end of 2026, that it may hit anywhere from $357 to $400 an ounce. Now,
That's insane.
Well, it's
we
not
were
insane.
told 5 years ago it could get up between $500 and $700 an ounce.
Well, it's going there, and it can't be stopped, and it ain't got nothing to do
can't be
with
stopped.
our desire to have silver. It's industrial. When you think about AI, every data center, every time they build an airplane, I got 10 ounces of silver soldered plug-ins for airplanes. The guy robbed off an airplane out in a junkyard in Nevada. And they're all solid silver, but listen, so the requirements and the needs, these data centers are going to just be, God almighty, I can't imagine what it's going to cost.
Yeah, I've worked on them. John. They're massive. They're massive, and I don't think anybody really understands what these data centers really mean, and how much power, water they require, and silver on top of that. And they are building them everywhere, all across this country.
We got one, a meta center being built in Louisiana, and it's a massive project. But I'm going to tell you, where they're located at, they're going to have to bring in some kind of supplement to the grid over there, because they don't have enough electrical resources to handle it where they're building. But it's under construction. So, but with all of this being said, so now the hit's going to be when they can't fill their requirements, like Chase 2 weeks ago got a call on some of their put options, and that's when the COMEX says, okay, you got to pay up. And it was a $17 billion day. And guess what who did Chase go to get it? They had to go to the Federal Reserve to get it. They said, we're upside down in our paper position on silver, and it's massive. I'm talking about it was costing them jokers every day that when it was ticking up and going up $5 at a time, that's a margin call. You got to meet, okay, you want to hold that position, that's fine. Here's what you got to pay us to hold that position. And when they had to put up $17 billion to hold their position or liquidate their position and lose a shit ton more money, and that was their reality. And now what's Chase been doing? They're unloading it, billions here, losing $1 billion there, losing $1 billion there, and they're slowly now going long on silver. So their position long on silver means that they have come to the conclusion, we got to try to we have to fill these vaults before these jokers find out we ain't got shit.
Yeah.
Because they don't have the silver.
Let me hop in here real quick, John Estabrooks, because I want to get chat involved here. Everybody watching live tonight, and if you're watching the replay, I would love to see your comment as well. So let me hop in here real quick and ask a question. Now everybody thinks different. Everybody has their different idea of what they think's going on, and how this is all going to unfold. So here's my question. Do you guys believe that there's going to be a collapse of the economy and it's going to be ushered in the new golden age, Nasara Jasara? I know a lot of you do believe in that. Do you believe that it's going to be a collapse and it's going to be catastrophic and we're all going to be, every man for himself, stockpile silver, make sure you can grow food, and it's the survival of the fittest? What is your thought tonight on what John is talking about? Because when the roosters come, when the chickens come home to roost, and I've had Andy on here from Miles Franklin many a times, and we've talked about this paper silver that they have sold to people. There is no physical silver there. It's all paper. It's worthless. So that's why we've always told everybody for years and years and years, when we're selling gold and silver, make sure you're purchasing physical gold and silver from Miles Franklin, Goldco, whoever you use, and make sure that it's shipped to your house so you physically have it in your hand. And do not buy the paper. That's what John's talking about. The bonds are junk. Other countries are getting away from the petrodollar. Other countries are buying gold and silver. it's all warning signs. Everything is right there in front of you. So what do you believe? Do you believe that this has to happen, that this is the great reset, and it's going to usher in golden years, golden times, and everybody's going to be happy and fat on gold and silver and all the stuff that they're going to give us for free? Do you believe it's going to save humanity? Or do you believe that this is some scary ass times? Maybe it's the end of times, and you really got to be prepared. Me personally, I think we have to be prepared. I don't think anybody's here to save us. I think we have to really prepare and be cautious for ourselves and our families. And I think the warning signs are all there. And if you're not paying attention and you get caught with your pants down, then shame on you. Jeff B., what are your thoughts on all this information that John's laid out before us here in the last 10 minutes or so, since he's been putting all the facts out there and all this information? What are your thoughts on where this is headed?
Well, I think this is why you see Jamie Dimon shitting his pants right now.
Yeah.
Because he's going to get called on the carpet. You know, I believe J.P. Morgan Chase is done.
Yeah.
Done.
Well,
And
let's talk about that, Jeff, because I want to let you know they're not. And it's because we passed the too big to fail legislation. They may become the only survivor. Them, Wells Fargo, they're just a handful. Here's this is just the beginning of what's truly coming. And what's truly coming, a $13 trillion hit to the bank system, is commercial real estate collapse.
Yep.
That's coming, and that's going to come in March, and you can't avoid it.
Yep.
That's what. Listen, money and economics is simple. Fundamentals are something anybody can track on any given day if you choose to. And for those of us that track this shit, right now the Bank of London vaults are empty. Well, they wanted to send the ship around, and guess where they were going to send? How the shipping channel that they use goes to Greenland. So they were going to export from the COMEX vaults silver that they needed to fill the demands from their public, because they don't have the silver in the Bank of London vaults to cover the people's requests. So they were going to send their little ship over and take silver supply of what's remaining in COMEX, which I don't think is that many, might be a couple of tons. But at any rate, and guess what Donald Trump, he says, well, we not only have an import tariff, we have an export tariff.
Yep.
On strategic metals that he just made a strategic deal. So now, no, we can't do that. You'll deplete our strategic reserves that we're building up in physical silver. But you can get it if you want to, but you're going to pay a 25% tariff on it. So now, if it's priced at $137 in Shanghai, and you take 25% of that and say, before we'll ship you one bar of your shit, you're going to give us that into our U.S. Treasury. He's got him by the nads. Now, there's two possibilities, because they just had an emergency meeting where Jamie Dimon, Bassett, and everybody went to Basel, Switzerland, and they sat down. And what is Basel? Basel, Switzerland is where the International Bank of Settlement is.
Yeah.
And who are they? They're the clearinghouse for the false paper central bankers.
Yep.
So they set these Basel requirements, and it started in '88, and now we're up to Basel III. And Jamie Dimon and all these bankers have known for a solid year that this day was coming. And this day says, hey, Jamie, you've got all these people, their deposits on account. You have to have assets of 75% of those assets in your vault. They don't have it. They ain't got no way to get it.
Nope.
So they've committed.
So let me ask both of you this question, because we've talked about Nassar Jassara on the show for a lot of years, and a lot of people still believing in Nassar Jassara, and that's fine. I don't throw stones at people. Believe what you want to believe. We all do research. We all have different research. Some of you have done research in a different direction than I have. John has Jeff B. So I'm going to ask Jeff B. And then I'm going to ask John Estabrooks. Here's a hard question for me, and drop your answers there in chat. If you're watching later, drop your answers for me and help me understand this. And believe me, I've done a lot of research, so every more that I can get, it will help me. How is Nasara Jassara going to play a part in this to save America, to save humanity? I'm going to go to Jeff B first and then to John Estabrooks, because again, a lot of people still believe in it. I'm not saying it's impossible. I think anything's possible. But at this point, how does Nasara Jassara help America, help the globe? Jeff B, what's your thoughts on that?
Well, when people first started talking about that, there was a lot of people that, I don't like using this word, but they were grifting off of it. Everybody was going to be a millionaire, right? And it for
That's
people,
not the same as reverse grifting, is it, Jeff B?
no, reverse
No.
grifting is what's going to be in my final thought. But I'm not a financial genius by any stretch of the imagination. But because I seen, one comment that you put up there that Nasara is a hoax or a lie, whatever. Okay. I want, I want people to have an open mind and look how pieces of this puzzle is coming together. All right. You have Doge getting rid of fraud, whether it is in the banking system, in state supported childcare or federal supported childcare. In order for you to come out with a system that is going to benefit, and I'm just saying for the American people, you have to get rid of all of these accounting ledgers and these entries that are fake. Okay. They did a run, and this is why I think they did it for the military first, because the military boopers, they keep damn good records on military personnel. That's how I think Trump knew that he could send them the bonus that he could send them. Okay. Now, once you start getting rid of all this fraud, and Trump then comes out and starts talking about the Monroe Doctrine, uh, I can see pieces of the puzzle starting to form to where we got to get our ducks in a row. So, because we only get one shot at this, to where this is one reason why I believe the Supreme Court said, we're not going to talk about tariffs, because that's how the country is going to be funded. The more stuff that's imported, the more money that comes into the coffers at the end of the day, or the end of the year, when the books are balanced. Let's say every American gets, kind of like Alaska, you get a dividend check. And that dividend check is, what the the inkeep, what the profits were for the country, both imports and exports. That's what I think your Nassar is. I don't think it's a big $1 million. Trump said, everyone's going to get a 2,000, minimum $2,000 check. Um, I think that's coming. I think he got a little bit ahead of the ball because there was a plan in place with Bassett. Um, but what I will say, watch Davos. And I don't know what is going to be said, but I know three people that are going with Trump. The big chair's going, and he's non-politics. So the big chair is going to be they're going to make sure no one tries to take him out. There's one financial wizard that I know that's going, and then there's another assistant deputy director for the military that's going. I think whether it'll be televised or not, I think these countries are going to be read the riot act. And I think they're going to be told, look, you know, we are going to be doing, let's say China or let's say Russia. Russia has a shitload of oil, shitload of natural gas. Okay, Russia, we need X number barrels of oil or X number of LMP. So we are going to import that into our country, and you need X, Y, and Z. And if you read the Monroe Doctrine, that's kind of like what is, uh, you know, being said that we'll take care of our own first. Anything that's left over, we can then exchange for stuff that we need. So the financial collapse. I mean, you can feel it. You can feel it come, and a lot of this is, you know, was perpetuated under the Biden administration. What John was talking about with the real estate, they were propping up that real estate market, and it's about ready to collapse. And it's going to be very, very interesting to see how this is going to play out. But I I don't I believe 200 because Trump's a showman. Trump's not a politician. Trump likes to bloviate. But Trump has never, that I believe, has said anything that hasn't been disproven or hasn't come true yet.
Yeah. Well, I'm going
And
to
John
tell
S.
you, Jeff.
Brooks.
Let me
John
tell you
S.
something.
Brooks, what are your thoughts? I'm going to ask you the same question. What are your thoughts on Nasara Jasara? How does that look like to you? How will it affect America and the globe? What are your thoughts
Well,
on that?
the first thing I want to clarify, those documents exist. I mean, they're legitimate documents and
mhm,
legitimate plans, and you have to understand, if that truly was implemented, that means a return to sound asset-backed currency,
yeah,
whether it's gold, silver, oil. If you're in South Africa and it's diamonds, whatever you choose to back your currency up, and you have to have those assets held in a sovereign for your country. Your nation has a sovereign wealth fund. Does America have a sovereign? Oh, Trump did that. So if you have a sovereign wealth fund, all the assets, and why is Trump so key? Rare earth minerals. We need the oil from Venezuela. We're not going to let
mhm,
China keep exporting this oil. Everything he's doing, what does Greenland have that we absolutely have to have for strategic? I mean, for our security, it's not the nice big piece of land or the shipping lanes. It's the rare earth minerals. So all of those being said, so if Nasara is implemented and every nation returns to a sovereign currency for that nation, there is no fiat currency anywhere on the planet. Every nation has some asset that they can use for exchange mechanism with all other nations, but all exchange has to have parity. What is Trump attempting to do with his tariffs? You want to be equal with us? All right, we'll start you out here. And if you live up to
yeah,
that, well, then we'll reduce your tariff on you and we'll have equal parity. You're buying 1,000 tons of rice, right? I'm going to ship you the 1,000 tons of rice and you're going to send me some guacamole. Yeah, I don't give a
yeah,
damn. Whatever it is, but it has to be dollar for dollar parity. So what will that mean? So then all currencies on the planet would have parity. That way, when I travel with the U.S. dollar and I show up in London and I walk up to an exchange counter because I can't buy anything with a US dollar. I got to get some freaking euros, and I got to give them $2.70 of US paper money to get a single euro that won't buy you get a cup of coffee. But the bottom line is you've always got, like, I love going to Brazil because my dollar bought a lot down in Brazil. $1, well, I would get 7 reals, you know, and I could buy stuff, and it was neat the way the economies work, huh? But when it's parity, it'd be 1 for 1. 1 real, $1. So you could go and travel wherever you want to go, and there wouldn't be all the currency exchange issues, because that was all created by the Bank of London, the International Bank of Settlement, to control people, to fix anybody that don't want to come into our central banking system. We'll collapse your entire economy, and we'll kill your leaders. You know, what did Muammar Gaddafi died because he wouldn't come off his gold standard.
Yep.
You know, and that's why they killed him. So here's the thing. It's happening.
Go ahead.
It's happening. And now you got that option. Gasara, sound money. U.S. return to sound money, or they go for the latest Basel plan when they had their little emergency deal. Do you think that we can get the people to accept a computer unit as a medium of exchange? Well, what would that be? And what did we tell them? Louisiana legislated it. We will not accept a central bank digital currency. Oh, well, it won't be a currency. It'll just be a unit. And, you know, instead of having dollars, you'll have units of exchange. Well, what's the unit? What value is it? It's just another scam for them to control everybody, not just us. They want to control the planet. These are globalists. And I listened to Davos today, Scott Besson. I'm trying to think of the old guy. But anyhow, Maria Barcelona had old Scott Besson on, and he fed the storyline that he's got to feed. You know, he's the U.S. Treasury guy. He's the head of the Treasury. So he gives them the narrative and talks about how great the reduction of inflation and everything that President Trump's done. He stayed on the talking points, but he never broached anything to do with gold, silver. He didn't say, what did Trump do last week? He told institutional buyers, you cannot buy private real estate. You can't buy homes. He locked out BlackRock. He locked out State Street. He locked out the banks. No, you can't go out and openly buy assets for 25 cents on the dollar and then claim that as being on deposit at your bank. So he locked them out of a mechanism for cheating.
Good.
It's the same thing I see. I see this entire deal. Now I'm going to have to break some sad news to everybody, because I just learned about this about 2 hours before coming on the show. We have a new tax policy in the United States of America to where if you go and exchange more than $1,000 worth of silver today, you go in to sell it, the guy who sells it to you has to collect a 28% federal tax. Did you hear that? Well, it is, but it's their knowing. So here's what I advise you. And I don't know. I'm not advising nobody. I'm not a financial advisor, but I know my guy.
Yeah, let's redact that. Hurry.
I know all the guys that are good financial people and that I buy and exchange silver with and deal with. And if I went in, and if that's the guideline, anything over $1,000, I'd only carry in $995 and exchange it. You know, without any requirement, putting a force.
Do a little bit at a time for sure.
That's it, brother. And here's the deal: I'm not selling at this price. I'm going to sell. I wouldn't even think about it. And then I'm going to tell you. Here's another thing. I'm going to give you some sound. What I know that's going to be true. And what's that old cat, Kevin O'Leary, huh? What's it, Mr. Money or whatever? I don't know. I was listening to a podcast that he was on, and sure enough, physical silver is a great play right now. It really is. It's a good move, and if you're making, you know, if you got it at 18, you're as happy as a hog eating slop, even if they take 28%. You still made large profit. Good. But here's the real play. If you wanted to invest in something, you find the miners, the silver miners, because that's going to be 30 years, 50 years, 20 years. That's where the big money's going to be. And that's going to get one that buys and pays dividends. So you got a passive income from your mining shares, but get into gold mining, silver mining, and invest in
John
those
S.
people.
Brooks, there's a big mine. There's a big mine getting ready to open up for silver and copper about an hour from my property. We need to talk off air.
Okay.
I'll reach out to them. We'll see what we can do. But they've got some of the biggest silver deposits in the state of Idaho. And I need to get some I need to get some info from you. But real quick, let me hop in here real quick because I got to ask everybody. I got to ask everybody a question. And then we got to wrap this up for the night. And it has to do with NESARA GESARA. And I know I asked you guys to please help me understand. I understand fully. I've been doing this for a long time. I don't believe in the NESARA GESARA that we were sold a long time ago, where there's millions and millions of pounds, tons of gold, and everybody's going to be a millionaire. Because I remember the very first time that we met Trainwreck Travis, buddy of mine that's here in chat, and he came on and he says, dude, what's going to happen if that happens? You know, a cheeseburger is going to be $50,000. Nobody's going to even want to get up and go to work because we're all millionaires. I totally agree with what Travis was saying. So I don't necessarily believe in NESARA GESARA. I don't necessarily believe that life is going to be extremely easy for us. But this is what I do believe, that if this happens, then is that a part of NESARA GESARA? And does that make us, does that get us to a golden age? Yes. What I believe in is, with this administration and with us pushing so hard, if he could accomplish getting rid of property tax, if he could get rid of income tax, if we could live a simpler life where we're only taxed on maybe what we buy and not what we make and everything else, if he can get rid of the taxes on Social Security, if he can get rid of taxes on overtime, which I know he already has, but that wasn't good enough for me. You're only allowed like $12,000 or maybe $25,000 a year to write off on your taxes for overtime. I want all my overtime non-taxed. I mean, I'm working my ass off. I shouldn't be taxed on overtime. So if he can accomplish those things, then yes, I believe if that's part of NESARA GESARA, then I believe in that part. I believe in making our lives better by not breaking the chains of slavery, because we are slaves to the system and we are slaves to taxes. And so if we can get all of that under control, if we can bring the hyperinflation down, if the cost of homes come down, if the cost of vehicles come down, if the cost of milk and eggs and groceries and all the stuff comes down, and we can, and I like Carlene's comment there. She says we're going back to 1955 prices and a flat tax. Then yes, I believe if you want to call that NESARA GESARA, I believe, call it NESARA GESARA, call it whatever you want to call it the golden age. If we can get to that, then I believe in that. But it's scary as hell to think about what's on the horizon and what could happen. And here's my question, because I've seen a lot of comments in there tonight. It's going to happen by Easter of this year. It's going to happen by 4th of July this year. Okay, I'm asking you, the ones that made that comment. This goalpost has been moved so many times. And that's why I become Captain Skeptic that everybody dislikes, because I always bring a different perspective to this show. So my question to you, if you put a comment in there, it says it's going to happen by Easter or it's going to happen by 4th of July. What happens if it doesn't happen by then? What's your next story? What is your next goalpost? Because if it does not happen by Easter, if it does not happen by 4th of July of 2026, what's the next chapter? because it's been pushed back and pushed back and pushed back and pushed back, pushed back. Which year? Great question. So that's my comment on Nasara Jasara. Gentlemen, we're well over 2 hours here, and I know, Jeff, I would like for you to stick with me here till the end, because we got something that we want to drop for everybody out of the store. So I got it all teed up, all the new shirts and everything. I won't keep everybody. But if you want to stay and see some of the new shirts that Jeff just put in the store today, I'll gladly show it to you. But that's just kind of where a lot of people are. We've been told a lot of things and it hasn't come true. And I get it, Ziggy. It's in God's timing. Be patient, keep the faith. I've heard it all. I've said it all. I've told everybody the best is yet to come. I've repeated that over and over and over and over again. And I still believe, and I believe that, yes, a lot of things can change, and I'm hoping for the best. Believe me, I want the taxes to be reformed. I want things to change. I want our lives to get easier. I want our lives to get better. I want more money in my pocket. I want my kids to be able to buy a frickin' house. And I want that. But I want to stay logical, and I want to stay in reality. And so that's why I'm Captain Skeptic, and I yield to my brother John Estabrooks, and I ask him for his final thought tonight.
All right, buddy. I'm going to tell you. There's some posts when they took place, and it talked about a near-death experience. Suffering from an economic downturn that we're going to witness. We're going to witness it before spring of this year. I'm talking about regional bank closures. There's no stopping that fundamentally unless they all of a sudden pull the trigger. And I don't think it'll be all of a sudden, because you have to let the people see exactly what these evil bankers that captured us in 1917 have done and what their design for a way out is. And their design is exactly what Klaus Schwab says. You will own nothing and be happy.
Yep.
That's what was being talked about with Jamie Dimon and the criminals that lied and defrauded. Every customer that walks into Chase Bank has been lied to and defrauded of their wealth and prosperity. That's a fact, because they're giving us worthless paper. And he perpetrated it. They've all perpetrated it. It's not just him. But the root and the core of where they're at is sitting in Davos, is sitting in Basel, is sitting in Switzerland, and the Bank of London. And they know exactly what they've done and what they've perpetrated on the people. And so while I want to have some hopium, and I'm a big guy, I believe, okay, I see a path, but I don't see any actions that tell me this is clearly the path. Now we know. I'll know when there's martial law. I'll know. And then here's the thing. What do you keep your eyes on? Because if you trust man, you're a fool. There's only one single entity to put your trust in, and that's God. Because if you're trusting any man-made system, I'm telling you from 72 solid years of experience, they will screw you every chance they can, buddy. Every single thing that they can take from you, they'll take from you. Every freedom, every liberty, they will take them from you. So I'm praying that we see exactly what we've hoped for, and the hopium exists. But there's some serious economic turmoil coming. What do you need to survive? Got to have shelter. That's a thing you got to have. I don't care who you are. You got to have shelter.
Yep. Shelter, water, food,
yes, it,
and ammunition.
Food. Yeah, because trust me, when people realize
people will come to take what you got, John. You know that.
Well, and listen, these are good people. And when they show up at the bank and the bank guy ain't got their freaking money or what they invested their pension in, and everybody, their retirement schedule, their 401k, and it's all been wiped out by fraudsters, or it's been depleted to a point to where, well, I was able to live on $3,000 a month. But now I don't have that. You've done took away. I can't make it on 50. They're going to get angry. They're going to get, people will become violent. When you steal a man's money, you take his wealth there. He worked 30 years to put in a retirement account and he's living on it. And you tell him, well, you invested in this and it's actually worthless. You go break that. I got a son that works for the railroad, and I'd like for them to tell that big son of a gun that they've robbed his pension, because hell won't have it. That boy's well heeled, and he it could get ugly, but we're going to pray that we keep our heads about us, and we start right now today. I don't care if you got to buy an extra can of beans or a sack of rice, dry beans. Get your home and food supply to where you can sustain yourself, because this could go on. You know, if you're going to listen to the 17th letter, you know, will it be 10 days of darkness? What will it look like? Will it look like a month? Because you got to make
10 months
idiots,
of darkness. Who knows?
Yeah, the idiots have to feel the pain. The idiots have to have clear visual evidence. You lied and you cheated us, all of you. Republicans and Democrats, they knew this was coming. They know it's coming. They created the $38 trillion worth of debt. And you want to trust that they're going to solve the freaking problem? Come on, man. Pull your head out of your tail. They're crooks.
Yep.
God bless y'all. I love you. And that's the one thing I rest on. Always when I close out, God wins.
God wins. All right. Thank you for joining us, John Estabrooks, as
Appreciate
always,
you,
brother. And I'll reach out to you in the next couple of days. I do want to talk to you about that mine close to my property. We need to have a conversation. Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
All right. That was John Estabrooks. Great friend, great brother, a man of faith. If I haven't learned anything else about John Estabrooks in the last 5 years, he is a man of faith, and we do believe, but I have to be rational. I have to be logical. I have to really pay attention to the signs that are in front of me, and I can't just blindly go along just because everyone else is. Because in the thumbnail, one of George Patton's General Patton's greatest comments, I think, is if everybody in the room is thinking the same, then somebody's not thinking. And I don't want to be that somebody that's not thinking outside the box. So that's just who I am. That's how I have to be. So, Jeff, we wanted to bring something up real quick for everybody. I'm going to share screen. I think it's awesome. Thank you. And please tell Mary and your whole crew, thank you so much for all the hard work. And thank you to War Machine, if he's watching tonight, for all of his great designs. But here are some of the new T-shirts, and I'll let you talk about them, Jeff, but they're all up in the store now. The mods are dropping the link there in chat and all the different chats. If you guys want to come check them out, check them out. But go ahead, Jeff.
Yeah, so we got some of the new shirts up, and Mike, if you you click on Ohio, I'll show you something that
The
we're
coyote?
the very first one there on your left.
There you go.
Okay, so now we have it to where you can, for your color, we are putting in all the colors that we can get for this particular brand of a shirt, and we got a color chart down there, so you can see what the color is going to look like. And what we're going to do from now until the end of the month, when you place an order, let's say you buy the Ohio Animal t-shirt or whatever shirt you buy, we're going to include 2 free stickers, so you guys can get a feel for what the sticker, the quality of the sticker print is going to look like. So you won't have to do anything. I let the guys in the back know that if somebody orders 50 shirts, make sure that they get 100 stickers of the same
Look at this. Look at this cool one here that War Machine made for us. Yeah, it's a cool t-shirt, man. Jeff, we've got talk about real quick before I get your final thought. Talk about how close are we getting for the tumblers and how cool are the tumblers? Who keeps bugging you for a tumbler?
Huh?
Who keeps bugging you for a tumbler?
I would think that would be the host. So we got the prints on the tumblers done. We started testing the application of it. We showed it to Mike, and Mike was like, "Why don't I have this in my hands right now?" So we got the 3 designs that War Machine come up with. We got those going out to LW. They should probably ship here within a day or two. And we, as soon as Mike gives us the go ahead, the first templates are going to be for 32-ounce tumblers with the straw, and we'll put a picture of it once Mike tells us tonight it's a good go ahead, or if he wants to wait and get it in his hands first. But we're going to make those pretty affordable. I think the quality of it, and definitely the
Quality is
of
amazing. I'm going to tell you right now, the quality is amazing. And I didn't have time to do it tonight. Maybe Tammy and I can do it tomorrow. All of you that have sent us pictures of you wearing our merchandise. I know Chase sent me one the other day. Rosemary sent one. I'll put those up if you don't mind. I'll put them up on screen and let you guys, let people see you guys wearing our stuff. How cool is this one that War Machine made right here? This is the 250-year anniversary T-shirt. What are your thoughts on this, Jeff?
Yeah, I mean, I'm 100% colorblind, so I'm probably not seeing what everybody else is seeing, but what I see, I I haven't seen anybody come up with anything like this. This is, I mean, the amount of quality that War Machine is coming out with is unbelievable, and I can't wait till this project's done, because we're going to start going into my project for merchandise, and it's going to be really cool for all the veterans out there, and active and veterans. So it's going to be really cool.
And we also have another project after Jeff's for the kids that you guys are going to love too. So again, we've got, I believe, 45 states are complete. And I think War Machine's working on the last 5, but this one's pretty cool too. Build and fight for the glory of God. Pretty neat t-shirt, Liberty Warrior Nation down there. These are all the colors that you guys can pick from. Jeff and his team put that together. So all kinds of different colors of t-shirts that you could choose from. But yeah, a lot of different shirts, a lot of different styles. This is one of our hottest ones right here, which is the other 250-year anniversary t-shirt that we got. I own this one, and the quality is really great, and they fit awesome. So thank you, Jeff, and your team for putting this all together, and for making this stuff happen for all of our listeners and stuff. And I hope Travis, if you and your mom got your t-shirts, I don't know if he stayed or if he left, but send me some pics. Would love to see it. So what's your final thought, Jeff?
My final thought's going to go back to what your comments were on the goalpost. Yeah, I think the goalpost have been moved and moved and moved, and it's discouraging. But my thought process is on the goalpost is who set the goalpost. People who, and I'm not saying we know anything, but the goalpost was set by people who probably didn't know shit, and they were doing it to make money, which is sad. And that's why, on our segments, I like to say we're reverse grifters, because because we're between the gifts that we're giving out and the other projects that we got, coming up. It's good to be able to give back to people and give them, allow them to get some merchandise that they'll actually like. Um, and also, I think if I was sitting in Davos, Switzerland right now, and I wasn't an American, and I wasn't part of the American delegation, I'd be scared shitless because I can only imagine, and I can't wait, and I hope the big chair is able to tell me some stuff. Because I think there's going to be some very interesting conversations that happen in those rooms.
It's going to be pretty interesting. What comes about in the next 6 months. Like I said, I think is really going to set the tone, and we'll see either what we want to see, or
Yeah.
hoping that we'll see, or there's going to be some disappointed people. So I have no idea what direction it's going to go.
Well, and I think what it boils down to is we know Trump has a huge ego, and Trump wants his legacy to be firm.
Mm-hmm.
So, all right, Mike. Well, hey,
All right.
and do we really want to tell the viewers the real reason why Tammy is in here? We we and this goes out because I was telling Mike earlier, these two go at it like brother and sister. So I'm gonna be like that adopted brother that nobody likes. Tammy, you're fired. I love you, Tammy. Mike, have a good evening.
All right. Thanks, Jeff. Appreciate it. All right. That was only a joke. He was only joking. We like to joke around with Tammy and give her a hard time. So, I was just playing around in the store. I was trying to find Missouri, and I couldn't find it. I think it's there. The question was asked. I think it's in there, but you'll have to look. I couldn't find it. I was going to pull it up on screen for you. But no, Tammy is not fired. She is home taking care of family because they are not feeling well, and she's a caretaker. And so, again, this is the end of the show. My final thought's going to be this. Thank you guys for all your love, all your support, for always being here and supporting this channel, whether it be financially or whether it be just emotionally or through your prayers or just through your views, through your likes, subscriptions, shares, and all that stuff. Thank you for all that support. Tammy needs your support more than ever right now. So any moment that you're thinking about her or thinking about, saying a prayer, please send one up there for Tammy and her husband. He's the one that needs the prayers the most. He's not feeling well. He's okay, but he doesn't feel well. And so we're praying for his healing. And so that he can get his life back to normal and get back to doing what he's doing. Jeff says Missouri will be up in 5 minutes. So we have it, just isn't in the store yet. So Jeff's going to work on that. So, I don't know. It's just, it seems like every time we get a ray of sunshine, there's always dark clouds that come flying over. And maybe right now that's one of those dark clouds with what John Estabrooks brought to the table tonight. And I just pray that we're all safe and that we can all take care of one another and our families and just be prepared. I like to be prepared for the worst and pray for the best. And that's just the way I'm going to always be. So with that being said, God bless each and every one of you. We should be back tomorrow night as long as everything goes well. So with that being said, we'll catch you on the next one.